Hello there everybody and welcome back to the channel. Today you join me here on my new layout for another unboxing. And this one is a bit of an unboxing and a bit of a follow-on from yesterday's video. So in case you haven't watched that video, I'll put a link up in the top corner for you. But yesterday I posted a review of the Accurascale's Class 50 Rodney. I ordered one of these and unfortunately when mine turned up, as you all have seen in the video, the quality was abysmal. Now I didn't just order one Class 50, I ordered two. And the other one, which is Royal Oak, has now turned up, and here it is. So this is Royal Oak, and I'm not going to do as in-depth an unboxing on this as I did with Rodney, because we've seen everything. If you want to go back and see all the paperwork and stuff, I'll put a link in that top corner, like I said. Now, before we get started on this one, I just thought I'd put a bit of an update with Rodney. I spoke to Accurascale, they were great, and they said, yep, return it to us. So I've submitted a return request, which is still pending, but hopefully I'll be able to get an exchange for another Rodney. Unfortunately, they have all sold out now, but if there are any stock remaining, I'll put a link in the description so you can pick up a Class 50 for yourself. So I'm going to put my camera back on my makeshift tripod. Like I said yesterday, my tripod's broken at the moment, so I'm having to go freehand, so apologies for that. Anyway, I'm going to put you on my makeshift tripod. I've adjusted the lighting, as I saw yesterday, it was not great, you couldn't see very much. So we shall crack on and get this out. So hopefully you can see this a little bit better. As you can see, the one I've gone for is ACC 2214 BR Class 50 locomotive 50017 Royal Oak, original Network Southeast Era 8. So like I said before, I'm not going to go into too much depth on the paperwork and stuff that you get inside. We're going to have a look at the model today. So let's get this out. Now it's got this plastic sleeve on, which is much tighter. And whilst we're thinking of packaging, credit to Accurascale, the packaging that this turned up in the post was much better on this one. There was a lot more paper inside to pad it out. With Rodney yesterday, it was just sort of floating around in there with a tiny bit of paper to protect it, but it is much better today. So, lift the lid, and we are met with a pack of information. I'm not going to, like I said before, I'm not going to go into depth with this. If you want to see what it is, check out the video. It's in the top corner, one of these. It's up there somewhere. It might not be up there now, you might have to press the little eye or something, but it is up there, and check out that video if you want. Packaging seems to be the same on this model now. So we've got foam holding it in place, and there is Royal Oak, and flipping it, that is nice. Look at that there. So I've had this for I've had this on order for 2 years, or 3 years, I can't remember. It's early 2023 I think I ordered this one, but yeah, that is nice. So again, it feels quite heavy. Nothing in the bottom of the box, which is a good start. To be fair, there wasn't on the Rodney one either, but yeah. So, let's get this out. So like I mentioned yesterday, before I get this out, some people have reported issues with jumper leads not staying on in transit and stuff like that. Now, although that's not ideal, and if this is missing jumper leads and stuff, it will get a mark down. I'm not too fussed about it, I will stick it back on, it's not worth returning to Accurascale. But, let's get this out, and it's very stiff. Blimey, yeah. So, the sleeve is off, and I can reveal we've got some more of these overly dramatic cards, which it's worth reading if you're new to Accurascale models, but I'm not. I'll have a quick check on them later, but it should be the same as usual. We've got some detail packs. So, first of all, we have more or less the same as what we had yesterday, which is some pipes and some snowplows. And we've got, if I can get them around, we've got some Royal Oak nameplates, which I don't think you can see very well on the camera, but it's Royal Oak nameplates and a Hoover headboard, which is a nice little touch, if you can see it very well. If you can't, then I'll put a photo up on screen. So, I'll put them there, and it's time to get to the loco. No little black bits of paint have fallen out the pack this time, so yesterday when I took it out there was loads of paint come out, so hopefully it's just as good. We shall have a look, see what the finish is like on it. We take this film off, and wow, yeah, that is impressive. Now straight away, the first thing I've noticed is one of the jumper sockets has come off at this end, so that's not too much of a problem if nothing else has come off. So we shall lift it out and have a look, and okay, yeah, this is fine. So there's nothing in the box apart from that little jumper socket, which is not a problem. I'm more than happy to glue that back on. So that means that this one, yeah, much better. Very nice loco, as you can see. The finish on this is lovely. It's got lots and lots of detail, like I mentioned in the review yesterday, and as you can see the jumper sockets come off the end. So I'll put this one back on. It is here. Obviously that's not great and it will get marked down for quality because of that, but it's much better than the one I had yesterday. And so yeah, I'm not going to mark it down too much for that. But yeah, very nice loco. Nice and heavy. I think these come in at about 750 grams. But we shall get this up on the white background, take a closer look at some of the details, and then I'll get it running, which is something I didn't really do yesterday. So let's crack on and do that. So here we are then, up on the white background with 50017 Royal Oak in the Network Southeast original blue livery. So this model does look absolutely stunning. Part of what contributes to this is the fact that, unlike Rodney, most of its details are intact. The only thing that had come off was obviously this jumper lead. I've re-glued that back on. It was quite a tight fit. It doesn't look 100%, but it's not too bad, much better than it did before. So again, most of the detail is cut and paste from the Rodney review. However, I'm going to go over a couple of other bits that I think look particularly nice on this one. And we're going to start off with the Network Southeast lines here. So I'm not too sure how else to describe it. We've got the red, the white, the grey banding there. These are all very nice and crisp. I would try and get a nice shot of them, but my camcorder doesn't do it justice really. And even across the louvers and the grills and stuff, it does look fantastic. The other really nice feature that this model has that the Rodney model didn't have are, of course, these painted wheels and these painted axle boxes. These are really finely done. There's no overspray, nothing like that. It does look absolutely incredible. So whilst we're at this end of the model then, I'll go over a couple of the details which I really like. We've got these silver painted buffers which, as you can see, are sprung. I do believe they're metal, and they've also got a rather nice design and pattern moulded into the back of them. We've got a kinematic NEM coupling which does stick. That's something I noticed with Rodney as well, is sometimes it would stick over on the extremities, but it does return back to centre if nudged, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue. We've also got these very nice separately fitted handrails along the front. These are very fine, and there's no glue or anything visible around them, which looks absolutely incredible. We've also got two handrails mounted on top of the nose here. Those are separately fitted again, made of wire, very sturdy, and there's no glue, so they are separately fitted, but they are very nicely done. Something that's not great on this model is, of course, these jumpers. They are unpainted again. I do believe that was missed off the production. They should be painted like this jumper down here. However, it's not the end of the world, and to be honest with you, I'm not really that bothered. They look fine from any sort of distance, unless you're right up close when they look very shiny. The headlights are incredibly well moulded. We've got the central high intensity light, and then on the outside we've got the two tail lights. Now these lenses have got a slight bit of colour to them, which looks fantastic. That's not something you normally see on a 00 gauge diesel. And the other thing that looks amazing on this is the tail lights, which have sort of got a very slight convex shape, which is, again, it's unusual. I've not seen that before, but it does look fantastic. It's really well done. And to top that off, we've got all the printed detail on the nose end. So of course we've got these overhead warning flashes and the little orange squares in the corner. I'm not too sure what the orange squares mean, but they do look fantastic and are very well done. Another thing to note is, of course, the printing on this jumper down here. It's on a separately fitted part as well. It looks fantastic. Really can't fault it. So up by the windscreen then, we've got these separately fitted metal windscreen wipers, which are pretty flush with the flush separately fitted glazing. Again, this glazing looks absolutely superb, even though this is Royal Oak, if you'll pardon the Class 50 joke there. They do look fantastic, and above the windows as well, we've got these slight little hooks. I'm not too sure what they are, but they're separately fitted and made of metal and look fantastic. One incredible thing to note with these is the pattern on these top of these buffer beam steps. This is really intricate. I've not seen anything quite like that in 00 scale. It looks superb. So on the cab side then, we've got these separately fitted metal wire handrails. These look fantastic with a sort of creamy finish to them. And we've also got this door. Now these door handles are separately painted, and I do believe they're separately fitted as well, which looks incredible. We've also got overhead warning flashes, another little sign there. I can't really read what it says, but the text is probably legible. And if you can see through the windows, we've also got text on the back head of the cab, which looks incredible as well. That's something to note on these, is the cab detail is superb. Again, pardon the Class 50 joke there. Unfortunately though, you can see the circuit board and the worm drive through the cab floor, which isn't great. Bigger diesels such as the Class 70, Class 66 by Bachmann, Dapol 59s, all sorts of stuff like that, they don't have that issue, nor does the Hornby 50, before someone jumps and says, oh, it's because it's a Class 50. Well, the Hornby one didn't have it, so it must be doable. But to be fair, it's not too noticeable, and once you fit some crew or something inside the cab, you won't notice it at all. So one thing to note about this model is the separately fitted proper metal moving chains on the bogies. These do look very nice, however they have caused some issues on my Accurascale 37 when it's going around second radius curves. I don't have that much second radius, it's just on the points and stuff, and that's something to be aware, it could cause issues on your Class 50. Additionally, by the grills, we've also got some nice riveting detail along there. That's very crisp and cleanly picked out, looks great that. On the body side then, we've got this Royal Oak nameplate, which is nicely printed on there. It's very crisply done, it does look great, but of course it does come with etched Royal Oak nameplates in the detail pack if you prefer those. Underneath we've got the Network Southeast logo, which is very nicely printed, nice and straight, that doesn't look too bad at all. And also on the underframe we'll see that we've got these air compressors which look very, very nice. They've been separately picked out, which is much better than the Hornby version, which I've had in the past, which had those sort of moulded in one colour and it looked a bit crap. These ones, they look fantastic, much more definition, much more refined than the Hornby model. Additionally, we've got these picked out orange parts on the fuel tanks. I'm guessing that's your fuel cap and a couple of other bits on there. They look fantastic as well, and honestly they're so finely done and so precise, it's incredible, to be honest with you. And through this body side window you can see some interior detailing in the engine room. It doesn't come across very well on my camera, but it is there and it looks incredible in person. At the other end of the model then, we've got the 50017 Tampo print, which looks fantastic, and we've got this very, very nicely done tops box there, and you can see all of the text in that under magnification. It's completely legible, which is incredible considering how small and fine that text is. On the roof of the model then, as you can see, we've got this nice etched grille over a motorised fan. These are motorised, and there's a little switch inside the body which can be accessed via the removable roof panel to change that. And I'll demonstrate that later, but if you're interested, I also did it in the Rodney video, which again is in the top corner if you're interested. All the detailing on the roof here is fantastic, there's lots of stuff going on. This fiberglass roof section is separately picked out, and all the detailing and moulding work up here is very, very crisp and it looks incredible. A particular thing that I'm a fan of is of course these exhaust grills, these exhaust vents which are hollow, and you can see inside the model. Just thought I'd show you inside the cab. As you can see, there's some very, very fine detailing in there. We've got the brake handles, the accelerator handles and stuff all picked out, and the gauges do light up when under power. The other thing I'll try and show you through there is you can see we have got a circuit board inside the cab which does not look great, and there's also a bit of a worm drive, but you can't see that very well on camera, but it is there, which is a bit of a letdown considering that on a lot of other models of a similar size, like I said before, even the Hornby Class 50 didn't have those visible through the windows. So all in all then, I'm very happy with this model. It is glorious, even though it's Royal Oak, ha ha ha, 50033 reference. No, it is a fantastic model. The build quality on this is so much better. Again, the detailing is incredible, and it's amazing just how much more you enjoy a model when it's not falling to pieces on you. So yeah, well done Accurascale. This one is much better. Let's get it up onto the layout and I'll show you how it runs. We're up on the layout. They do a DCC sound fitted model, but I didn't buy that one. This is just the analog version. I'm going to see if it runs. I've not test run this yet, so this will be its first time running. I'm on the Gauge Master, so give it a little bit of juice and see if it goes. And it is moving, I believe. That is moving. That's very, very slow, but it is moving. So that is an incredible crawl. And it's not really something that these need to do. They're not really, in real life they weren't really geared for crawling, but that is incredible. I think it's stopped now, isn't it? Is it stopped? Yeah. But it's still going. But yeah, an incredible crawl there. That's in one direction. We have got the tail lights coming on. If I change direction, we've got the headlights on as well. Very smooth. Yeah, very smooth, quiet runner. I like that. And coming the other way as well. Nice and smooth. Not too fast. Seems like a fairly sensible speed for a big diesel like this. Let's give it a little bit more speed. I'll cut it off and see what the flywheels are acting like. So coming into shot, we're at 50%, cutting now. Yeah, so yeah, it's a nice slow deceleration from the flywheels there. And yeah, it's certainly a very, very nice model. And like I said just now, it's amazing how much more you can enjoy a model when everything's not falling off. So I'm going to get this running, and I think it says about half an hour in each direction. So I'm going to run it in, and then I'll come back to you once it's run in. So the Class 50 is back from running in, and here she is. So a couple of things to say with this. First of all, performance is incredible, so we can give her a little bit of juice, and we are at just over 10% on the controller, and she is moving. Look at that crawl. Now I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain that's one of the best crawls that I've seen from a diesel loco. So yeah, so that's one thing. The other thing that I need to mention is about the fans, and I'll get onto that in a minute. But the other feature I really like with this is, I don't know how to show it best to you, but basically the cabs have got a little light inside which lights up. And I'm not talking about the little cab lights, these are on the dashboard, so all the dials do light up, which is an incredible quality feature. The other really good quality feature I have to show you, and I'm just going to move the loco forward a little bit more so I can show you a bit better, is the removable roof. So there's a little magnetic roof section which comes off to reveal a bank of switches on the blanking plug. Now this makes the DCC fitting really easy, and I'll show you what's inside. So I'm going to pick you guys up. You can see there is a blanking plug, and then I believe there's space for a speaker to that end underneath the roof. So I don't know how easy it would be to fit a speaker. I guess you do that without taking the body off. But on the blanking plug, we've got this bank of switches. Now I mentioned before that this fan is motorised, and that is controlled by the switches on this plug. So you'll see all of them in one position apart from one, and that's switch number 7. And switch number 7 controls the fan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you guys down. I've got my tweezers, which are here, and I'm just going to very gently operate switch number 7. So switch number 7 is now across, which means as I run the locomotive, the fan will come on. Now the fan's powered by a separate motor, which is much better than on the Hornby 50s, where it was powered by a belt, which just puts unnecessary strain on the motor. So I'm going to put the roof section back on, so I quite like it with the fan on, and I'll show you the fan. So again, apologies about the camera work if it gets a bit shaky, so I'm doing it one-handed whilst the other hand controls it, but there's the fan. Now it is powered by a separate motor, as I said, but it is incredibly fast. Now I'm guessing it wouldn't be that fast in real life, and that's why they've left it switched off, and I guess on DCC that fan will be much better controlled. So if I just put a little bit more power on, you can see that's already going very fast, and that's only at just over a crawl. If I set this up to full speed, there's literally a draft off it. So yeah, maybe that's not the most realistic feature in the world, but it does look quite good, and it's a nice little gimmick to have, I suppose. So out of shot, I've got some coaches. Let's get it hooked up to those and get it running around the layout. So in service, these Network Southeast 50s would have run with Network Southeast and BR Mark IIs. Now I don't have any of those, they are on my to get list. So as this locomotive is joining my preserved fleet, I've got some Mark 1s. There's 3 chocolate and cream Mark 1s out of shot, so we shall get it hooked up to those. First of all, we've got Hornby 1, and then the other 2 are Bachmann's. Both got tension lock couplings in the NEM pockets, so if we buffer up, they seem to have engaged, which is always a good sign. Yes, so there we go. Let's get it going around the layout. I set it to sort of medium speed, about 50%, and we shall go and watch it in various places around the layout. So it's time for some ratings then for the brand new Accurascale Class 50. So we're going to start off with detail, and for this I've awarded 4.5 out of 5. This is the same score as last time, it's the same points that I raised really. The main points being the unpainted jumpers, as you can see here, these are just moulded in an orange plastic rather than painted. And there are some visible, there's a very visible circuit board through the window, as I mentioned before, along with the top of the gear towers for the bogies, which I don't think is great. So yeah, 4.5 out of 5 for that, I think is well deserved. So the next category then, which is mechanism, I've kept this at 5 out of 5. Again, nothing I can fault with this really. 5-pole motor, twin flywheels, bearings, all-wheel pickup, all-wheel drive. Again, nothing really too wrong with that. Can't fault it, so I've given it 5. For performance, again, I've given this 5. Again, nothing wrong with this one. It's a very, very good crawler. It's smooth, it's powerful, there's a lot of torque there. It's fantastic in both directions and at all speeds. So yeah, really can't go wrong with the performance. For the quality then, this is where I've changed the marks. So last time it was 2 out of 5. However, here I've given it 4. Now, obviously with this one, it is much, much better than on the other one. However, it's still not perfect. So for example, that jumper, that came off in the Transit, and I've sort of taken into account the Rodney score with this one as well. So I've upped it to 4 out of 5. It's still not perfect. Like I said last time, you've got those circuit boards that's visible through the windows and the gear tower, and obviously that jumper which come off in the box. Again, not ideal. I'll put it back on, but it still shouldn't be happening, and it is a quality issue at the end of the day. The next score then is for value. Now, last time I gave this 4 out of 5, and this time I've changed the score to 4.5. Again, this is much, much better, and like I said last time, yes, I can 100% recommend it to you if the quality's good. If you get one like this, 100% recommend it. It's not hard to refit the jumpers, and Royal Oak I am ultimately very happy with. So yeah, 4.5 on the value. So overall then, I've rated this 9.2 out of 10, or 92%. This is much, much better than Rodney's score of 82%, and again, that takes into account the fact that the build quality on this is much, much better. So yeah, this is definitely a locomotive I can recommend. I think there are still a couple of models still in stock, so again, if they are, I'll pop a link down in the description for you if you wanted to go and pop one of those out. It's not affiliate or anything, I'll just link you direct to Accurascale's website, and you can pick them up. They're £190, which is a good price for this model. So thank you all for watching. I'll update you on the Rodney situation as and when, and until next time, I'll see you all very soon. Until then though, bye for now guys.